I'm not sure what we have to discuss.
Yeah, I was, oh yeah. I was here then.
And then he noticed, that's where my truck is. He said, there's really nothing on this. Back on my truck. He said, I don't know what it is. He said, you can see the issue, but nothing's wrong with that. Whoever goes in, that's a big project. Yeah, we have one.
Big time.
I wonder who I would ask to do the job. And I'll tell you the truth.
He must use a better quality. She probably got 20 guys here.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Westfield Leader, advertised on January 9, 2014. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and permanently posted on the municipal public bulletin board and filed in the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public of the time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our workshop session.
Good evening, Mayor.
I'd like to ask that you turn off your cell phones and Blackberries, and I'm going to ask that there be no communication going on during the course of our meetings this evening. I'm going to start the meeting tonight with a statement. You, Mr. Martin. That I am going to read. An issue has been brought to my attention recently about an invitation to a political event distributed by the Garwood Facebook page. It should be noted that this is the first meeting of the Borough Council since this event took place, so the incident has not yet been discussed by the governing body. I spoke to the clerk who operates the Facebook page about this issue, as well as to our borough attorney. After this issue arose, the Borough of Garwood Facebook page was deactivated. Our attorney is of the opinion that the municipality should not have a Facebook page because inappropriate content can be posted and because the governing body has not adopted any policies regarding its operation. The recent Facebook event was apparently reported to the county prosecutor and the Board of Elections. If they undertake an investigation, the borough, of course, will fully cooperate. But I have to say about that at this time. Now we'll move into the regular course of our workshop business, and we'll be starting off with our borough engineer, Mr. Borriello.
Mayor, I have nothing new to report.
Nothing new to report? Anything old to update us about?
Not a heck of a lot, just we're gonna be starting the DOT project next week, well, first of the month anyway. So, it was reported last 2 weeks ago, that's why I reported on it, yeah.
Okay.
That's, Oak Street project.
Does anyone have anything for Mr. Borriello this evening?
Mayor, one question?
Yes.
Don, were you able to take a look at the street behind the Knights of Columbus in terms of costs for repairing, restructuring, rehabbing it?
Yes, I did look at it.
Any idea of costs?
It's gonna be between $50,000 and $75,000.
$50,000.
Well, because the area to the, I mean, in my tenure here, we've paved that road 3 times. There really isn't anything underneath it. So if we're gonna spend some money on it, we probably should at least on the side years public works, is to make some improvements to it.
So you've actually talking about ripping up what's out there?
Yes.
Putting
Part
in
of the
stone,
roadway.
putting in stone, the whole bit?
That's correct. On the south side of the street.
Well, I'm sure that section does take a beating from the DPW trucks that went out there, so.
Well, there's a lot of debris that's been dumped there over the years and stuff, so it's hard to tell what's really in there.
To follow up on that, it seems like if we're gonna do it, might as well do it right. And then also, I know we spoke about it at the last meeting, but I guess we need to confirm that that's what we want to do now that that's our estimate, 50 to 75. So last meeting, we talked about Third Avenue, Maple to Walnut, estimated at 145,000. Myrtle Ave, Oak to the athletic complex for about 62,000. So in total, we are looking around 250,000 or so.
That's great.
Which is generally, in the past couple of years, what we've been
Yes.
going in at and getting about 75% return from the state in grants, so hopefully they continue to be kind to us. I mean, I'm in favor of that. Would that put this to rest then, 2015 project?
I think, Councilman, we did Third Avenue, Maple to Walnut, what's the second one?
Myrtle Avenue, Oak to Athletic Complex, the drainage at the gateway to the complex.
Okay, and then, by the DPW.
Correct.
So by the DPW, what street is that exactly that you're talking
Willow
about?
Avenue.
Willow, going from where?
Well, a couple of years ago, we approved the portion, it was in front of the 3 or 4 residences there. So we're gonna go from there to the end of the Knights Columbus.
Include curbing and drainage and all that.
Well, I don't know if you wanna put curbing in, it's,
Well,
you
that's what I'm
know.
wondering, is
Right.
that improvements, and to what extent?
Yeah, we talked about curbing last time, I think we basically
Little bit,
agreed
we
there's
kinda-
no
yeah.
reason for the curbing.
Well, yeah, on the Knights side, most of it's driveway openings anyway, so there's really no curbing there.
Okay.
Right.
Or there may have been a reason for the curbing, but the price was just, that would have been prohibitive. I mean, I took a walk back there, and so you have the DPW, the Reganese, and then you have the Knights of Columbus, so we're just talking about that strip there, and that's
Right,
gonna
we're
be
going up, I guess, basically up to the right east line, whatever.
right up to that line. So we're gonna do that, and are we gonna have to rip anything up there? Is that how we're gonna do it?
Well, we're gonna at least mill the top off, but I think we're gonna mill off probably the southerly side of the road, put down some decent base, so that you don't have to go back and do it every 7 to 8 years.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So that price was obviously without the curb, and I know
Yes.
that's all.
Right. You want to move forward and take that direction? Okay. All ready?
Are we done with the?
Any other questions for Mr. Eduardo?
Yeah, I just, because I'm always confused, and please tell me if I'm out of order here, but I know when Blue does the update on the athletic field, usually Mr. Variello isn't here. So I just wanted to get your input on what's going on with the athletic field, kind of where we are with things. And I think the thing that's kind of nagging me is what should we be doing on this side of the table to get this thing done? Are we doing everything that we can?
I think you're doing everything you can, unless you want to pick up a shovel or whatever.
We wish we could, I think,
But
to be honest.
it sounds like we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Materials are starting to come in, which have been delaying the project for a substantial amount of time. And it sounds like everything else is starting to be approved and in order, so I would think we're probably looking 30 to 45 days, but don't put me to that, because I don't know if something else is gonna pop up.
Have the doors arrived?
The door frames have arrived, which is the key, because obviously the frame goes into the wall, the door just gets mounted in the frame, so the doors are a little bit behind, but the frames are there, so the doors can now, the doorways can be put in, and the rest of the sheetrock can be installed, and everything else can be done, so they are in, yes.
And then again, just to circle back on this, is there regrading that needs to take place on the actual field and on court because of flooding issues?
There's some minor punch list items that have to be addressed, yes.
But I mean, would you consider that a minor, because I mean, I'm ignorant as to this, would you consider that a minor punch list item, just a regrading
Well,
of it?
it's not really regrading, there's a couple of puddles in the basketball court, which are not substantial. I would consider, I mean, you know, you're talking about trying to make a pool table out of a piece of basketball. So, I mean, there are a couple of pockets, not very deep, but they will be repaired, they're required to meet the specifications of the architect, the landscape architect, so yeah, they'll be repaired.
Okay, so are we at that level now of punch list items? Is that
Yes.
kind of where we are?
No, not with the other punch list.
Yeah, I would say, we're not at the point where there's gonna be any type of a punch list, but we did have a meeting today, and the contractor did acknowledge that he does have to take care of the basketball court, that it didn't meet the testing, the verbatim testing and everything, and he acknowledged that, for months now, there's been a puddle there, so he's gonna be coming back and taking care of that.
And, okay, and do we have a completion date?
He still won't give one, but just like Don said, you know, we're looking in that time frame, but, you know,
But we don't have.
we don't give a date now.
There's still some materials that have to be delivered, and that they could hold up the final closure, sure.
Yeah.
And as far as the doors, I mean, if I may, yeah, the door frames are there, the interior door frame was put up, the exterior door frame, 2 door frames that we've all been waiting for. He won't put up the exterior one up until the doors and the hinges that go with that door frame are in, and that should happen within the next week or so. 5 to 7 days, he should get that in. What's holding up the actual doors themselves are the electronics that go inside the door. So, you know, it's a handicap door where you press a button and you're about 10 feet away, the doors automatically open up. So until all of that stuff is built inside the door itself, that's when they won't actually install them, because then they'll have no way to lock the doors. So for right now, the plywood's still up. So once that is all on site, then he'll install that.
All right, and then just one other thing, and again, forgive me for jumping the gun, it's just because Mr. Guariola is here. I was talking with a resident nearby the athletic field, and I said, you know, it's a shame that there are no kids playing on there. And she said, no, there are kids playing there. There are kids playing there often.
Well, they climb the fence.
They climb the fence, and we've seen, and I passed by, and I've seen a number of children playing there. What can we do to, I mean, that's a liability issue for us, isn't it?
Bob, can you step in about that?
About climbing the fence? I don't
I mean,
know. Somebody just climbed the fence at the White House and
Right.
unless we're prepared to shoot the kids, I'm not sure what we're gonna stop.
Well,
No.
one thing that we have done, you know, protect the borough and also, you know, protect the contractor at the same time, we put locks on everything. You know, you can't get in there by just walking through the gate. So, you know, if someone wants to climb the fence, like Bob said, you can climb the fence. I mean, how high do you make the fence? That's how somebody can climb, I don't know. But yes, kids have been on there.
Okay, because I think we would just, I guess what we're kind of coming upon here is, especially as the outer grounds become more complete and look nice, we're creating an attractive nuisance for people to go to. I mean, there's a perfectly nice playground behind the fence that I saw, I love having my kid on there. And I guess that by completing those things and not having a CO or not having the buildings complete, it's like we're almost asking people, hey, come on over here.
Well, the
because-
playground's been complete for about a year and a half, and I haven't seen anybody back there.
Okay, what I'm saying, you are aware that people are coming onto the field. So I'm just wondering that if somebody does get hurt on that, I mean, Mr. Renaud, that's.
I don't know what else you can do besides put a fence there, and I mean, that sort of tells them not to go on there.
There's also
The
signs.
fence is locked. and-
There are also signs.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's legally, in term negligence, in terms of attractive nuisance, is something where you're attracting people and inviting them there. It's, you know, not something where you have a fence. That's, I mean, A, we have insurance. B, I don't know, as a practical matter, I don't know what we can do besides put a fence up.
I mean, and there are signs that
Signs.
say, keep out, you know, construction site. I mean, you know, we're posting, contractors posting what he has to keep people off.
So then we're satisfied that we're doing everything possible to keep people off the
Well, I know
field.
that when I drive by and there's somebody there, I make a call to the dispatch, and the car goes there, and they chase the kids off.
What would a suggestion be?
That's what I'm asking for. We gotta be aware of the situation, that we do have people going onto the field.
So if we dig a moat, maybe that would help. We put up a 45-foot, but what do you, I mean, where are you going with this?
I don't think it's something to joke about, Councilman Martin. I think it's actually kind of an
I'm not
important
joking,
thing.
I'm not joking.
I'm not
He's asking
joking.
for it. I'm asking him
Okay,
a
then-
question.
then
You're asking a
perhaps
lot
you're-
of questions here. Give us an idea, but give us a
I'm
suggestion.
trying on putting forward an issue that's kind of serious, Councilman Martin. So I don't know, and I apologize if I'm taking up your time. You have a hard time showing up on time as it is. I guess.
Excuse me, that's out of line. Okay.
Well, in my opinion, that goes down there a lot. I think that the contractor's done everything he can to keep the job site, you know, secure. He's actually commented that there's been no problems down there during the entire time that he's been down there by any type of vandalism. So, he's got locks on the gates. People can climb the fence, they can climb the fence. Just like they can climb anybody's fence if they have a fence around the property. It's locked, it's locked.
Right. I mean, the question you were getting to, that's why I asked Mr. Renaud to jump in. to make sure that we're doing what we
Oh,
should be, and it seems like there's only so much you can do.
There'll be cameras when it eventually gets completed, having moved directly from Lincoln School. There'd be fences and there'd be kids up on the roof of the building before the new building was put up. So you do whatever you possibly humanly can. And they're gonna climb in, even after it's completed. They were going in before when the field was locked. So, let's move along. Any other questions for Mr. Goriello?
I do actually.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Don, I wanted to bring up Third Avenue.
Yes.
What was it, 500?
That's between Walnut and Maple.
We had some residents over there that were questioning why the inlets were put in so close on the south side of the property,
North side.
or north side. is how we're-
Well,
Yeah.
it's a typical Garwood road. It's very, very flat. The only way you can get the water to flow is to create high and low points in the road. There's less than a foot grade, I think, change, if I remember correctly, from one street to the other. It's 800 feet long. And at 800 feet, minimum you would want normally would be 4%, 0.5%, which would be 4 feet. So that's the kind of slope you have. So in order to address it, you create a series of pockets to collect the water. Otherwise, we're gonna end up with just what we had before, which is water laying in the street. There's no more than about 0.5% slope any place on the street, so you don't even realize, you're up and going up and going down, but that's what you're doing.
Now, do we have plans on doing the same thing on the other side of the street as well?
There will be, the other side of the street will be done similarly, yes.
Okay, because that's where a lot of people are saying where they
Yes.
really have the ice problem.
That's correct.
It was on
We have, the problem is that the gas main is right under where the storm sewer has to go. A gas company couldn't move it in time. It's a 102-year-old gas line, so if you go anywhere near it, you're gonna break it, and then they'd have to replace it. So we decided to leave that alone until they do it, hopefully next year, which you'll notice that application is in for the following year to pave the road, so it gives them a year to go in, replace the main. It'll be a high-pressure line. They're gonna have to redo all the laterals, the house connections, so they're gonna do a lot of work to dig up the street, so. But they plan on doing that next year.
All right. Thank you.
Anything else? There being no other questions at this time, we'll move along. Mr. Renat?
Thank you, Mayor. We have, let's see, on the agenda is the dumpster ordinance for introduction. We've been working on that, for a while, and it's ready to go. So that's on the agenda tonight. A few other items. Actually, I'll just give you a couple of previews. These are not action items for tonight. We have a request that I'm going to be discussing with you probably at the next workshop related to, apparently, there's a development on South Avenue where, I know it's where Ditzel's was, I don't know what it's called now, but there's a planning board reviewed and approved of the site plan and recommended that the mayor and council consider adopting a loading zone in that area. We have some recommendations from the chief that I received this evening, so I'll forward them on to you and we can look at them next 2 weeks, I guess, and see what we can do with that. We also have some upcoming questions on the application to COA and some ordinances and resolutions that will have to be adopted. I received these inquiries this week, and my suggestion is that we will probably want to have the consultant meet with the governing body at some point in the near future to talk about how those ordinances should be completed and adopted. Then we got an inquiry this week about the status of, what are we calling it, the village of Garwood, and its tax abatement situation and the payment in lieu of taxes and when they're supposed to start, so I'll be looking into that, and I'll give the administrator and the mayor, give you an update on that, either in the interim or at the next meeting.
Mr. North, I just have a question. The Village of Garwood, is that the St. Anne's?
Yes.
Talking about the St. Anne's property. Right. And what's the issue on with this?
When they have to start their payments in lieu of taxes. And how. And I think that's it, Mayor. Maybe I'll have something to say later, maybe not.
Ms. Ariama?
Mayor,
Oh, yeah.
briefly ask one question. Bob, the COA.
Yes.
As the planning board liaison, what we were looking at doing was actually forwarding everything, which the borough clerk did, forwarded everything that was forwarded to council to the planning board.
Okay.
For their input. I spoke to the chairman, he's not gonna bring it up tomorrow night, he's gonna bring it up at the next meeting. The consultant will be coming to the planning board meeting in October to explain and discuss everything. She has to input a lot of material into the state database from which she can then derive some numbers and move forward. Now, I was hoping to actually take her to the planning board and get recommendations from them to the council before we invite her to the council. Is that consistent with what you're thinking?
Yeah, here's the thing, the planning board obviously should be reviewing and recommending the substantive provisions of the ordinance. That is, where are you gonna put inclusionary housing, what are the requirements going to be, and that sort of thing. But there's some administrative provisions also that need determinations, like how is the borough going to administer the program,
Who's gonna do it?
and so forth. So
Okay.
those are the kind of issues I think the mayor and council, and I don't know when, it's Ms. Hartman, right? I don't know when she was expecting to want these answers, so we really need to get input to both bodies. So, and, you know, because of the fact that we've got these redevelopment projects or redevelopment areas, I don't know that we, and you know, there's always, you know, the big thing hanging out there, so I don't think we want to take any longer than necessary to get this going. So I'm open to any reasonable process, but you know, we've got to keep in mind that the borough council and the mayor have to make some decisions also.
All right, I'll try to move the substantive ones regarding the numbers, planning board as quickly as I can.
So the other thing, I mean, that occurs to me would be, you could do one of two things. If the consultant is coming to the planning board on October 31st, either, is that the date that you just said?
I'll get the date, I don't think it's before
That's a
then.
Friday.
Yeah, it's before then, but I'll get the date.
Yeah, actually, that's Halloween too, so you probably wouldn't want
No.
it. So, you could either have less than a majority of the governing body, either formally or informally, attend that meeting and ask such questions as they wanted to ask, or you could sunshine the meeting for the governing body, and then the governing body members could attend also, if you wanted to do that.
That, I like that second suggestion, that's a good one. All right, the date is October 8th.
We have time.
Yeah, we have time.
And then if you want to go, you can go. If you don't want to go, you don't have to go.
May I ask the borough clerk? Or would that be the planning board? I guess the planning board.
No, borough clerk would have.
Borough clerk? Can you prepare that notice then?
So the entire mayor and council wants to attend the planning board meeting
Right.
of October
8th,
8th.
7:30. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Right? any unfinished business? Check here, I don't see anything jumping out at me. Any new business to bring up in workshop? No? We'll move into comments or matters discussed with members of council, council president Tarantino.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me see. I just want to let you know, the Procedures Committee, I know it's been discussed before, we didn't have another formal meeting, but we did receive some documents that we had requested when we met last time that we mentioned. Mayor and I had met, and we received some documents from the Borough Clerk, and we're going to review those, and we're going to set up another meeting to, I guess, review them formally as a committee with Councilman Martin, and I forgot the members of the committee, Councilman Martin, myself.
Yourself, me, and Ms. Henry.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we'll schedule another meeting soon. And the parking committee is scheduled for October 1st to review the parking study and also regroup to talk about some action items that I guess were completed. I don't know what more to say about that. So we're meeting on October 1st. That's all I guess I have.
One question, with regard to, the procedures. Councilman Martin, did you receive a copy of the, manual in your mail?
Yes, I
Okay, I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right, Councilman Martin,
Nothing, Mayor.
Councilman Matthew.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, actually, I just have a couple questions on what Council President Tarantino was talking about. So the Procedures Committee, I guess I'm just a little fuzzy on it, right, maybe I'm the only one. What is it that's coming out of that committee? Is it something that we're gonna be voting on? Like, what's the end goal of the committee? I'm not exactly sure.
Well, right, I'm not sure if that we're gonna be voting on anything, only if we wound up changing any ordinances or resolutions, is anything that have to be voted on. So if we wind up changing that, we'll vote.
And it's for procedures about how the governing body needs to conduct itself, things like that? Is that basically what the procedures are?
It's basically, yeah, how the governing body interacts with, office staff, with each other, with the general public, that sort of thing. So it's just general procedures that we don't have anything. In most offices, one has, everything's outlined, this is what happens here or there. And, we have some holes that we,
We're looking at all of it,
Yeah.
we're looking at procedures as how we interact and how the office interacts. So we're looking at what we currently have in place, and then I'd like to reach out to other communities to see what they have in place and see if we can, take ideas from what they have that we don't, I mean, if we like it.
And I think I might have mentioned this to Councilwoman Fidisco at some point. I talked to a councilwoman in Hoboken, and she prepared the agenda with the mayor and whoever they have, the town administrator, whatever the equivalent is over there. And what she said was that people on the council were getting surprised by things on the agenda. So I don't think she was council president, but she said there was a representative from the council in each agenda preparation. She was on the phone with the mayor and the town administrator. Just want to kind of put that along. I thought that might be a good, somebody to look at it from a legislative point of view and say, geez, maybe that's what my colleagues need to know about.
Okay.
that's exactly the type of thing that,
Right.
And then just one other question too, on the parking committee, when you said action items, is that the Second Avenue parking study? Where is that? Are we still waiting?
We will be reviewing that October 1st.
Okay, and that's under the jurisdiction of the same parking committee, okay. It's just the person who would ask me about that, just followed up and said, where is it? I wanted to find out. Okay, great. That's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Deerstein.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 items. I attended last week's CDBG meeting in Cranford. That's the Community Development Block Grant Group. Applications for 2015 to 16 are due this fall. The Borough Clerk and I discussed the Borough applications today. We've traditionally received less than $20,000 a year. And these funds can be used for the senior bus, the senior program, the handyman program. Last year, the clerk also submitted a request for funding for the need of redevelopment studies for South and North, and we were denied. And I encourage the clerk today to prepare a new application for, now we're moving on South, submitted for North Avenue, and see if we receive the funding or not. I mean, with my fellow councilmen's concurrence, we can at least submit that, and
Maybe
see
the
if we
next
can.
over.
Let's see, you're talking about the county level, right?
Yeah.
It's not facilities, it's not housing, probably admin, probably.
When they talk
It's not
about
gonna
the
be facilities,
admin,
not gonna be housing.
when they talk about the admin committee, that's their administrative committee. I don't know. So I'm wondering where that,
I do not
Just
know
out of
which one,
curiosity.
because that would be, you know, quote unquote light redevelopment. I mean, maybe it is with facilities, because it would result in a capital or some type of private endeavor. We can certainly find out.
yeah, just wondering about that.
Okay. And that night, they did also indicate there's new census information that they're using for the mapping. It's not going to affect Garwood much at all. Also, they did mention, if you notice on the agenda, there is a resolution with some minor changes. The county reps there actually were surprised that it even had to go to the attorney. They kind of thought they were administrative changes, but every municipality has received those changes, and I do recommend the council support those changes tonight. Second, I also attended with Councilwoman Tedisco last night's Cranford's governing body workshop meeting to discuss the Garwood Brook and the Orchard Creek flooding issues. Cranford received us favorably, and the township engineer updated us on the project. Don, you may be well aware of this already, but what he said last night was that he's learned that the original DEP permits have expired. And I think you alluded also to the fact that DEP has different standards for their stream banks.
Right.
And he's not sure how DEP is going to review the new standards, because obviously the old plans don't match the new standards. He also is of the opinion that it doesn't satisfy isn't within the confines of the Permit Extension Act, but he is going to schedule a meeting with DEP to discuss where they are, what they can do, and we did graciously, magnanimously indicate that our borough engineer would love to attend that meeting also. So,
Okay.
so we will keep you posted in terms of when that will occur.
They were very receptive to that idea.
Yes. Don's not even looking at us.
We won't tell him he suggested it.
That's right, didn't say a word. They also asked us, it wasn't, I was trying to think how to write this today, because it wasn't pointed at all, it was just a very general question. You know, in light of Irene and in light of Sandy, Cranford has actually adopted, they've amended their stormwater ordinance in a number of ways. They now promote, you know, rain gardens, and I think they've changed their impervious coverage numbers. So they asked us if we would be willing to, like, what changes we've made, and then would we be willing to look at their stormwater ordinance to see if we could amend ours. And we said absolutely. So I asked their engineer to forward to you and to me, probably get it to Victor also, their stormwater ordinance to see what changes they made, and if something makes sense, because obviously we recognize that if we're able to change the piping on the railroad, change the piping on North Avenue, increase the water capacity at Orchard Creek, that they're gonna get more water. So they asked us, you know, are there things you can do to reduce the impact of the water, reduce the amount of water coming towards us? And we said, if we can, we certainly will. So we'll look forward to that. And last but not least, Bob did already discuss the COA discussion for tomorrow night's planning board meeting on October 8th. Just to let the council members know, I think the borough clerk let us know already, but tomorrow night the council will actually be looking into 4 RFPs that were received for the need of redevelopment study on South Avenue, and they should make a recommendation tomorrow night as to whom they will hire. And that's it, Mayor, unless there are any questions.
You meant to say the plan.
What did I say?
You said the
Yeah.
plan.
I apologize.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, sorry.
I had forwarded to everyone just along the lines with the Orchard Brook. I don't know if everybody got it, well, 3 of you. obviously you had the opportunity to read what I got back from Dan Ashenback, as I had told you, I would send an email, and I did, and that's what resulted in this extra communication, so, hopefully that will go someplace at this point. All right, thank you for coming, appreciate it. All right, Councilman Petrozelli, do you have anything?
Yeah, Mayor, actually, I want to bring up, just talking to some people, it seems like there's an issue with our mail delivery. I don't know if anybody else has experienced it. I know that the borough is, and I know that I experienced the mailman come to my door Saturday night around 7 o'clock. So, and I know that some other people who we spoke to said that they have to like go to each other's houses, you know, on either side to figure out where their mail comes.
Oh, I got down from Mountainside yesterday.
Yeah,
That's
so,
where it was.
I mean, I don't know how everyone else feels about this, but is there something that we can do as a borough to the postmaster to say, you know, bring us back our guys over here so we don't have this problem anymore? Because right now, everyone's in Cranford, and that's where the mail's going, and I think that's where the problem is.
Right, do we write a letter or something? To start that communication.
Maybe reach out to the congressman's office, federal, the mail,
Right.
federal issue, and, you know, and do that. I have no problem doing that, because I just sent out a mail address to residents of Mountainside, it was my mail yesterday.
Well, one person I spoke
It's a
to-
new carrier too, it's not the same
Yeah.
carriers that we've had.
Sometimes you get this, your regular guy.
I do have my
and
regular guy
you don't.
sometimes.
But
I haven't seen mine.
one person on Myrtle, unfortunately, they live next door to a house that's been abandoned for about 8 years. And she was looking for her credit union checks, and some of them were in that, you know, were in the house. And she actually contacted the PD in order to get in, and she's had some issues there as far as that, but, you know, it just seems to be a problem ever since they
I'll
did
reach
that.
out to them.
And I think it leads to Garwood keeping their own services within Garwood. That once you start moving things around, that's when you start to experience problems.
Well, I think they need to pay a little better attention to what they're doing.
Definitely. It's pay attention to what they're doing, but also it's a time issue. I mean, I don't understand how having mail carriers out at 7 PM on a Saturday is cost effective. It just doesn't make sense, but, and
They're also talking about eliminating Saturday delivery, so,
right,
you know,
right.
but right now, my first stop will be with the congressman's office.
I think that's a great idea. I know a lot of people talk about our post office being probably the best in the, in these three towns, Westfield, Cranford, Garwood, because we have the parking, we have that drive-up, the 2 drive-up mailboxes, and it would be a shame if this is just a slow taste of the, or the first taste of the inevitable. I would really hate to see that.
Right.
So we should probably fight this early and just stay diligent on it.
I mean, I have people who I know personally who drive from Union just to use.
Talk about cost effective. Mayor, I support exactly what you're doing, but I support Councilwoman too in terms of, let's make this strong.
Oh, yeah,
Because Lou, what you said is absolutely right, you know, you're now delivering from Cranford, and we know what that means, so we
Well,
need
the
to,
mail
we need
was
to nip it
sorting
down.
and everything was moved there.
I know.
It's just a mess.
Yeah.
Oh, really, okay.
So let's get more than one congressman.
Well, we'll start there.
Yeah.
I'll call them up and start there. Councilwoman to this one.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one item. I was, of course, in Cranford last night with Councilman Mearstead. Great way to spend my birthday. It really wasn't bad. Typical to be expected, I guess. But anyway, in attending the meeting, as I've mentioned, in attending that meeting, beginning portion, the first hour or so, was actually their Board of Health meeting, since their Board of Health is not a separate body like we have. It's actually their township committee, and a lot of residents turned out about rat issues there, and they were very vocal. Apparently, it's a big issue on a couple streets, and in listening to them talk about that issue, and knowing where I sit as liaison to our Board of Health and hearing about the rat issue, it definitely seems like it's something that has popped up, particularly this year because of the very wet winter. And it's not something that just Cranford's experiencing or just Garwood's experiencing. It's really all the towns in this area. The Board of Health or rather, the health department representative that was there last night said all 8 towns in the Westfield Regional Board of Health Department, are experiencing the issue. It seemed like Cranford actually had it worse than us, in just how it was portrayed last night. But one, I don't know what to call them, their committee men, one member of their governing body suggested having some kind of purchasing agreement so that residents could possibly hire an exterminator at a reduced cost if the municipality was able to get that contract lower, because a lot of the residents were complaining about the cost of extermination, that it could cost $200+ every time, and some of them had an exterminator come out more than once. And so I mentioned, hey, perhaps this is something Cranford and Garwood could work together on. And then I said, hey, even better, maybe all 8 towns in the Westfield Regional Health Department. So it's something that I would like to bring to our Board of Health meetings as a discussion point, if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. I had noticed when I read the Board of Health minutes from the meeting, the number of instances that of infestation with the rats, but not associated specifically with the Borough. That's one of the things that struck me. So,
Right.
I would think, sure, since it does affect all the municipalities, and I'm glad you were able to sit in on that and see what our Board of Health would do.
Did you, one question, did you get any sense that they have any better idea of where those rats are coming from in their town than we do?
Honestly, not too much. There was one property that was sort of getting the blame for them in that neighborhood. I had asked one of the residents if they had a water company in their neck of the woods, like we have had in our town, and they said no. So it wasn't the water company, but I've heard from residents that have gotten exterminators, that the exterminators feel it very well could be the water company work that's right on their street, churning up the rats and kicking them out, I guess. But mainly, it's a particularly bad year for it. They with their numbers, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just
Sure.
to add to that, they indicated that they actually checked out 17 separate properties within the borders, and they found 2 boroughs. That was it, out of 17 properties. But one resident did indicate that the poison, the insecticide, the exterminating company put out was disappearing like it was water. But yet, they only found 2 boroughs. So no, to answer your question directly, they did not find, a major source, no.
Yeah, it's really kind of perplexing,
And actually, the one property that they were talking about was abandoned, so I think it relates to the conversation we were having before, which relates back to what Councilman Neerstead brought up to us last week with this article about how towns can regulate upkeep of abandoned homes closer now, and I guess there's been some updates to that, so I definitely think that's something that we need to look at and see how we can better regulate abandoned homes to prevent these types of health issues and quality of life issues.
That was great that you went, council people, to get together with everybody else, sounds like a really good idea.
Councilwoman Tedesco, when's your next Board of Health meeting that you'll be able to bring this up?
Actually, not until January. They only meet quarterly.
Right.
And they just had one the 17th. So, I mean, I actually was going to put an email out to the health officer. She's actually going on maternity leave in December, so I wanted to just let her know now, to maybe just get in contact with these other 7 towns and see what we can do.
Absolutely.
It's fairly complicated. I mean, the process, you could do a joint purchasing agreement. Everybody would have to adopt a resolution. Somebody would have to be the lead agency. You could put it out for bid. Presumably, the Westfield Board of Health would do that, as they would be the lead agency, I would think. But there was a fair amount of work involved in doing a cooperative purchasing agreement, but it would make more sense for them to do it than for everybody to do it individually, obviously.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, we might all be able to work together on something that's, a common threat, rat terrorism.
So in the
Reading
meantime,
the report, it was like the Now, if they weren't coming from the Borough, where are they coming from? Okay.
I mean, I know we laugh about that, but to be honest, in hearing residents that we've had in this town, as well as Cranford, I mean, these people are afraid to go in their backyards. They're not letting the dogs out, they're not playing with their kids in the backyard, they're really not enjoying their property. So it is actually a real shame.
But then in the meantime, we still have to continue to educate our residents, everyone that
Exactly.
Councilman Neerstead says, to keep our garbage cans covered, the piles of wood or just garbage, we have to remove that from the sheds, and everything that we have to do to not attract the rats. And it was in the last issue of the Garwood Gazette, and I don't know how else we would keep it up there on the Borough website, obviously not on Facebook, but the Borough website, and just keep reiterating at every meeting, and just tell our neighbors to, and when we see them, you know, with the garbage can, the lid's not on the cans, that we have to keep that
Clean up after your pebbles.
in the backyard. Has
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Anything else, Councilwoman?
No?
We'll move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. And if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address the mayor or king council, please step to the microphone, sign in, say your full name and address, and it would be appreciated if you would limit your comments to approximately 3 minutes.
Tom Pettis, 101 Chestnut Court. I share Councilman Matthews' concern about security at the athletic field complex, and I'd like to know when the security system that you purchased, a great amount of money, is going to be installed and working. A week ago on Sunday was a beautiful day, and I figured I would take a walk and see how my tax dollars were being spent. So I walked up to the athletic field complex, and sure enough, there was a sign there, and there was a gate, and the gate was locked. But I walked around by the basketball courts, and that whole street that borders Cranford, there is no fence. There is no sign. I walked right into the property, walked around the trails, saw the liquor bottles down on the trails, which upset me. Sat on the bleachers there, watched the turf field, got some little sun there, watched the girls who were playing up by the building there. There is no fence on that side. So that was a very good question to ask. And answer my question about the security system, because that might help.
Okay. The security system is a one-day finish. When the contractor is more completed with the inside work, that's when the security cameras will be installed and finished up. We don't really know when what that day that's gonna be, but according to the camera contractor, it's a one-day finish.
Okay, the sooner the better, because my fence clubbing days are over with. And I just walked right in. I mean, there's a whole block there. There's no fence and absolutely no sign. If someone comes from Cranford, they're not going to see any sign saying do not enter.
Well, there is an orange sign on the fence, though. There is a work area to keep out construction sign on
By-
the Lincoln side.
Yes, on that side and by the playground. But if you walk in from Cranford, you're not going to see any sign. You're not going to see any fence.
I think there's one in Rankin.
Yeah.
From Cranford.
That's what he's saying, is the ranking fence. Ranking. I don't know what the old it is.
Checking this back by New Street. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor. Bruce Patterson, 325 Will Avenue. Yeah, just a suggestion. I was back there yelling before when you were talking about the field, the kids playing. Probably it's going to cost $3,000, but I mean, you should put a tarp over it maybe, and that should keep people off. I mean, stopgap measure. Who has $3,000? And also, I'm just wondering what the status is of that ordinance with the combining of the county sheriffs and police department.
I'll speak to that. Just a little more research to be done, waiting on some calls back. I'm hoping by the next council meeting for sure.
Yeah, I said I'd help you out if you want.
I know, I appreciate that.
Bruce, by the way, thanks for the one actual suggestion. I'd like you to.
I'm like,
Kids off.
we got 3,000 though.
I know, yeah, but it was a good,
Oh, you were writing the check?
it was a good suggestion.
I left that in.
Thank
Thank you.
Suggestion and financing.